All right, I'm back. Let's talk about Weezer. Let's not talk about the Chili Peppers. No one believes that I really do like Josh Klinghoffer more than Frusciante, but I do. It's true. I digress. We'll see what happens when the album comes out 2 days. I know it's been leaked. A lot of people have heard it. Leaked, I should say. But let's talk about Weezer's new album. It's Seasons and it's Spring. And it's interesting because they're coming out with 4 albums this year. And that's just like, I think we're getting like 17 Weezer albums in the span of 21 years. That's a bit much, Weezer. That is a bit much. So my history with Weezer, I can go zombie. You can see right through my head. Oh yeah. This green album cover down here really messes with the old green screen. That's fine now. It's fine. My experience with Weezer, loved them when I was growing up because I was a preteen in the early 90s. Blue album was fantastic. The green album held a special place in my heart. Of course, I love Pinkerton like most people do that like Weezer at all. It was a brilliant album. I still also agree it's their best. Right behind it, though, I've got some unpopular opinions like I always do. I'm a big fan of the Red album. I'm a big fan of In Everything Will Be All Right in the End. I think that's a fabulous album. The Black album I hated for a minute, but then came around to it to think, this is kind of a cool pop album, sort of. I hate Ratitude like most people. I don't love Hurley, but it's okay. So on and so forth. There's just the White Album's okay. Pacific Daydream is not. It's back and forth. It's all over the place for me as a kind of a Weezer fan. It's just everywhere. But this new album came out, Seasons, and I was not excited about it because I had a feeling that it was going to be all happy, bubbly, poppy shit for spring. Maybe winter will be dark and heavy. Van Weezer, I thought was a solid album. Okay Human, I haven't really listened to that much. I need to do that. But to say I'm a Weezer fan is more of a nostalgic statement. I'm not as much of a Weezer fan now as I used to be, but I still check out the albums when they come around. So when they come around, that's kind of like a Green Day song. Anyways, Weezer, I don't get super excited when they drop an album because they've been dropping way too many over the years. Like I said, by the time they finish this cycle of these 4 albums, it'll be 17 and 21 years. That's ridiculous. That's just a little bit too much. If it was all great, that'd be one thing, but it's not. So, some of Weezer's pushing music out to push music out. I don't know if they're bored. I don't know if they don't care. And as long as they're happy, that's all that matters. That's all that matters. But for me, big Tool fan, kind of don't mind that an album only drops every once in a while. It's like it's something to say about their legacy. Mastodon, I'm a big fan of them. They drop albums like, fairly often, but they're still years apart. Foo Fighters, I'm a big fan. They drop albums years apart. You got to give shit time to breathe, and you got to go on tour, and you got to, come up with new ideas and make sure the album that you released last time don't sound like the new one coming out, and so on and so forth. Like, switch it up. Weezer's just like, let's bang this shit out, which is fine, but it means I don't love them as much. But let's talk about Seasons, Spring. Again, I do think 2021 was a strong year. They say Okay Human's pretty good. Van Weezer was fun. That's a good year. I don't know if this year is going to be a good year for him because Seasons, Spring opens up with Opening Night, which sounds like a song straight ripped off from Little Einsteins. I know it's got a classical theme to it, but it makes me think of Little Einsteins. It's very annoying. It is samey. It just sounds really super simple and cheesy out of Weezer, which is kind of not a surprise sometimes. Sometimes they release something and it's like, this is just the cliche. They're the only band I know of that I can think of off the top of my head that is a cliche of themselves sometimes. Weezer releases an album. It's like, that's just typical Weezer. Like, I'm sick of typical Weezer. I need Rivers to push the envelope a little bit sometimes. And he's just like, I thought the Black Album did push the envelope a little bit because it was a little off kilter and crazy. And High as a Kite was wonderful. I mean, there's some good jams on that album, but this is right back to what I hate to say this because it sounds super derogatory, but it's like lazy Weezer. Lazy Weezer. This opening song, I was like, fuck, this is going to suck. This is not going to be great. Track 2, Angels on Vacation. It sounds like 100 other Weezer songs. Way too simple. Sometimes simplicity works. Even though there's a ton of production and like magic production dust all over Ghost's Little Miss Sunshine, or Call Me Little Sunshine. Fucking movies, the other thing I was referring to. It's a very simple song structure, just with a ton of complicated layers. But that simplicity works. Simple Weezer is simple Weezer. It's guitar, bass, drums, singing, like just kind of demo-ish. This song, Angels on Vacation, sounds like a demo. Track 3, A Little Bit of Love. It's upbeat and it's okay-ish. It getting a little better here. But I've heard this band do so much more. Even some of their albums people don't love, like the Red Album. There's some great improvising and creativity there. This falls so flat. I was kind of surprised some of the reviews said it's not their worst. Get there. Track 4, The Garden of Eden, manufactured pop through and through, which is not what I want from Weezer. I don't want manufactured pop. I didn't mention the album Maladroit. That's a great one. Underrated. Track 5, Sound of Drums. I get it. It's supposed to be springy and all, but this album sucks. This album's really weak. It's really, really weak. I don't think reviewers are actually hammering it enough. It's just weak. It is so weak. Track 6, All This Love. At this point, I'm like, I can't even do this. This is such a typical Rivers Cuomo line, like a sad sack Rivers Cuomo line. Some Rivers, he can play guitar, and Rivers can be a really intriguing and fresh musician. And then he can just be the complete opposite and be just a sad sack of mediocrity when it comes to music. And this is one of those songs that I'm like, this is just Weezer at their worst. The album ends with the song Wild at Heart. It's just more of the same. There's absolutely not a single moment on this album that is like a powerful punch you in the gut moment or punch you in the face or Will Smith you in the... Yep, I went there. I did. Celebrities are stupid. Celebrities are ridiculously just goofy. And I'm never watching the Oscars. So whether that was staged or not staged, real drama, fake drama, I won't be watching that shit. I would rather watch Rivers Cuomo perform this whole album live. Barely. But that's not to say I like this album. I actually do not like this album at all. A lot of stuff I will give a second chance and a third chance and a fourth chance. This album will get no more chances. I really don't think it's worth your time. I'll listen to the other ones because Weezer's that band. They're that band that can strike out on an album and then hit a home run on the next one. They are unpredictable. But when an album is titled Spring for, the seasonal releases, you got a pretty good idea it's going to be way too happy poppy manufactured Weezer. And that's exactly what we got here, unfortunately. So hopefully the future gives us something better. But for now, I would leave this Weezer album behind and not listen to it. I would rather listen to other manufactured pop well before this. Is what it is. Weezer's Season Spring album is a big old fat 0 for me. It's just not worth listening to. If you want to give it a 1 over, that's fine. I can honestly say I probably had more fun listening to Kid Rock's new album, not because the music, you know what? The music itself, the instruments were actually better on that. The content and the theme was not. but the music was probably a little better. Neither one of them I'll ever listen to again. But, you know, if you're a fan of Weezer, I'd like to hear what you think about this album. I don't see anyone convincing me to give it another listen because I just think it's bland and boring, but I still want to know what you think. So drop the comment down below and don't lie. Don't say you like this album just because you love Weezer. It just doesn't work. I mean, I love a lot of bands, but I refuse to lie to myself when they release a stinker. I just said the word stinker. This video has to end. Barking about music. See you on the next one.